The intensity is dialed up to the maximum today as we dive straight into the world of MotoGP legends. First up, Marc Marquez is making waves again, declaring that winning was a piece of cake in his latest high-profile outing. You have to hear what the champion has to say about his dominant form and the confidence he is bringing to the track this season.
Never run out of battery again with the INIU portable charger, the slimmest 10,000 milliamp hour power bank that keeps your devices charged on the go. Stay powered up wherever you go. Click the link in the video description to shop now on Amazon.
But the road to success is never a straight line, and Marc Marquez is opening up about his past like never before. He is reflecting on his 2020 campaign, specifically pointing to those unforgettable races where he did not even cross the finish line as some of his absolute best work. It is a raw look at the grit and risk that defined his career during his most challenging years. Meanwhile, the technical landscape of the grid is shifting right before our eyes. Pedro Acosta and his teammate Brad Binder are sounding the alarm over at Red Bull KTM, revealing that their legendary top-speed advantage has all but vanished. We are breaking down why their search for better cornering performance might have cost them their greatest weapon on the straights. Finally, the rider market is heating up with a massive vacancy looming at Trackhouse Racing for 2027. With Ai Ogura heavily linked to Yamaha, Justin Marks and his team are scouting for a new star, and the names being floated, including 2020 world champion Joan Mir, could change everything for the squad. Which young talent or seasoned veteran will step up to fill this high-demand seat? Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you never miss a beat of the action. Ever wonder what it feels like to make the impossible look easy? That is exactly the vibe Marc Marquez radiated recently after a performance that left the entire MotoGP paddock scrambling for answers. The headline reads, "Winning was a piece of cake." And honestly, hearing that from a rider who has battled back from the absolute brink is nothing short of terrifying for his competition. It is a bold statement, but when you look at his trajectory, it is not arrogance. It is the return of a predator who has rediscovered his edge. This isn't just about winning a race. It is about the psychological shift we are seeing in real time as he reconciles his past injuries with this newfound, seamless dominance. Does this spell the beginning of a Marquez dynasty too, or is it just the calm before a much more chaotic storm? Smash that like button if you think he is taking the championship this year. And remember, sometimes the greatest victories aren't found in the speed, but in the silence of a rider who finally knows he has nothing left to prove. Ever wondered how a race that ends in a hospital bed can still be considered a rider's masterpiece? We usually measure greatness in MotoGP by trophies and checkered flags, but Marc Marquez recently flipped that script entirely. In a candid conversation on the Tango Unplanned podcast, the 8-time world champion revealed that 2 of his most unforgettable performances were races he didn't even win. It is a fascinating look into the mind of a competitor who values the sensation of absolute control over the final tally on the leaderboard. First, there is the 2018 Argentine Grand Prix. If you were watching, you remember the chaos. Marquez wasn't just racing the field, he was fighting a personal war against the rulebook, enduring a ride-through penalty and a series of aggressive clashes, most notably that infamous run-in with Valentino Rossi. While he finished 18th, Marquez sees that day as a masterclass in pure riding ability, proving that even when the race goes sideways, he was operating on a level few could touch. Then, there is the ghost of Jerez 2020. This is the race that haunts every Marquez fan. He was riding like he was in a video game, carving through the pack with a level of precision that felt almost supernatural. But that relentless push for perfection ended in a brutal crash at turn 3. That single moment triggered a 3-year nightmare of surgeries and sidelined him for 30 races. It is profound that he identifies his greatest technical display as the very moment his physical world started to crumble. It shows us that for riders at this elite level, the best performance isn't just about the trophy. It is about the feeling of being completely at one with the machine, even when the edge you are pushing proves to be too sharp. Marquez admits today that he has learned from those risks, moving away from the win-at-all-costs mentality that once saw him riding against the flow of traffic on a starting grid. It is a humbling shift for a man who spent years defining what it meant to be invincible. Do you think a rider can truly claim a race as their best if they don't see the podium? Or does the data of a DNF always outweigh the style points? Drop a comment below and let me know your take. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the psychology of MotoGP, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more behind-the-scenes stories. Remember, in motorsport, sometimes the most important lessons are learned in the dirt. Is the KTM power advantage in MotoGP officially a thing of the past? If you have been watching the 2026 season unfold, you have probably noticed a shift in the hierarchy on the straights. Pedro Acosta, the wunderkind of the Red Bull KTM team, has sounded the alarm, noting that while the RC16 is doing plenty of things right, its traditional weapon of choice, raw top-end speed, isn't hitting quite the same way it used to. Here is the context. Manufacturers faced an engine freeze before the season, meaning nobody could touch their core power units over the winter. But, as we know in the high-stakes game of MotoGP, silence in the engine shop just means the engineers go to work everywhere else. We are talking air intakes, aerodynamics, electronics, and those complex ride height devices. All of these factors play a massive role in how these bikes cut through the air, and based on the numbers, KTM is finding itself on the back foot. Look at the data from the first 3 rounds. In Thailand, Brazil, and Austin, both Ducati and Aprilia have consistently clocked higher top speeds than the best KTMs. In Austin alone, the difference was staggering. While it is true that slipstreaming and different track conditions can skew the numbers, the trend is undeniable. KTM has traded some of that straight-line muscle for significantly better cornering and overall balance. As Brad Binder put it, the bike stops better and turns sharper, but it is clear they have added a bit too much drag. It is the classic engineering tug-of-war. For years, KTM riders relied on their straight-line speed to bail them out or facilitate easy overtakes. Now, they have to be much more strategic, and we saw exactly that during Acosta's battles with Marc Marquez, where the KTM simply couldn't defend against the Ducati's punch on the long run to turn 3. Is it a case of KTM going backwards, or have their rivals just made an incredible leap forward? Tech 3's Maverick Vinales isn't entirely sure, but he admits that overtaking just feels harder this year. The good news for the Orange Army? They are still third in the constructors' standings, just 4 points off Ducati. They have swapped raw speed for precision, and while it makes the racing harder, it is clearly keeping them in the fight for the title. What do you think? Is this a necessary sacrifice for a championship-contending bike, or has KTM lost their identity? Let us know in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button to keep up with all the technical drama, and we will catch you in the next one. Is the dream of continuity at Trackhouse Racing about to hit a brick wall? Just a few weeks ago, team owner Justin Marks was adamant. He wanted to keep his current duo of Raul Fernandez and Ai Ogura to build stability for 2027. But in MotoGP, plans change faster than a bike can hit 300 kilometers per hour. News that Yamaha is circling Ogura has turned that quiet confidence on its head, leaving a massive, high-profile gap in one of the most exciting teams on the grid. Think about it. Aprilia's current machinery is a rocket ship, and that makes the Trackhouse seat arguably the most coveted piece of real estate in the paddock. So, who steps up? It's a fascinating chess match. Raul Fernandez, who finally broke through with that emotional win at Phillip Island, suddenly looks like the safe, logical anchor for the team. But if Ogura jumps ship, the rumor mill is spinning hard around 2020 champ Joan Mir. Putting a rider with Mir's pedigree on a competitive Aprilia is the kind of move that could instantly challenge the status quo. Of course, Mir's future is tied to the messy Honda factory puzzle, and if he stays put, Trackhouse has a tougher call to make. Do they hunt for a veteran like Jack Miller or Maverick Vinales for the name recognition, or do they finally lean into their potential as an incubator for the next generation? We've already seen flashes of that with Moto2 standout Manu Gonzalez. Giving a raw, hungry talent the keys to an Aprilia could be the masterstroke that changes the team's trajectory forever. It is a high-stakes gamble between proven experience and the untapped fire of youth. What do you think? Should Trackhouse chase a former champ or bet on the future? Drop a comment below and let me know who you want to see in that seat, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the chaotic world of MotoGP. Because in this sport, the finish line is just the beginning of the next story.